Let's bring in former California GOP chairwoman Jessica Milan Patterson and Axiom Strategies Aaron McGuire. Thank you both for coming on. So, Aaron, to you first. The president said they are going on land in Venezuela, but Caroline Leavitt had the following to say. Look.
Prolonged war is definitely not something this president is interested in. He's been very clear about that. He wants peace. He also wants to see the end of illegal drugs being trafficked into the United States and taking the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans across our country. And he's thinking about that every day here at the White House. With every drug boat that is taken out by this administration, we are saving thousands of lives by deterring those drugs and stopping those drugs from flowing into our country.
So how do you read this politically, Aaron? Does this mean no war? We're just sending a message, or what's your take?
Politically, this is a time where you would expect President Trump to likely show his strongest area of expertise. When it's come to geopolitical conflict, this is a president who has ended numerous wars and is now ramping up pressure on a rogue regime that, yes, is funneling drugs to the United States. Politically speaking, this can be tenuous, given that Congress will want its role in oversight, but the president is doing the work necessary to protect the American people, and in doing so is flushing out the Maduro regime by cranking up the pressure, things that you have not seen previous presidents willing to do. And so obviously when it comes to the brave men and women who serve the United States military, we thank them for that service. And, you know, when it comes to this politically, the president is in a tough situation, but one he excels in.
Yeah, meantime, you had Florida Senator Rick Scott, who really kind of laid this out pretty simple, pretty concise. He said the following, watch.
What the president is doing is he is stopping drugs from killing our grandchildren and our children. And I applaud him for that. So Maduro will be arrested. He will be in prison, or he's going to be in Turkey or Russia or China, some other place.
Just kind of putting the word out. If Maduro leaves, it ends. It just goes away, right?
I think that Senator Scott draws the correct line here. This is a fight against an indicted narco-terrorist, and the cartels are killing our children. The Reagan Defense Forum had put together a poll just last month, and Americans want America to lead on this. 62% want us to take a strong position against these narco-terrorists, and 81% want America's military to be the most sophisticated and the most powerful in the world. That's when we see peace. We see peace when we are the strongest.
Yeah, and 100% do not want their kids to die of a drug overdose. That's for sure. President is a little unclear on attending meetings in Europe, talking about talking about Zelensky and the possibility of ending the war. Things are still a little tenuous. The president had this to say, Aaron.
We'll see whether or not we attend the meeting. We said we'll attend the meeting if we think there's a good chance of they want me to attend, they want us to attend. And we'll be attending the meeting on Saturday in Europe if we think there's a good chance. And we don't want to waste a lot of time. We think it's negative.
I think the president is getting more skeptical about this whole thing, and he wants assurances. What do you think about this, Aaron?
I think you're completely correct, Trace. I think President Trump is sick of the tire kickers abroad. Instead of coming to a peaceful resolution between Russia and Ukraine, you see one side back down and another side back down when they get so close to peace. President Trump has been very clear. He wants peace. This war between Russia and Ukraine was completely started by the fecklessness of Joe Biden, and it's up to Donald Trump to fix it. So he does not want to attend a meeting to sit between people who are not going to be serious when it comes to ending a war and saving lives. He will show up when it's time for him to put his diplomatic foot down and say, enough's enough, the war is over. Until then, Zelensky and Putin moving the goalposts on each other. It's over. We need to end this war. That's what President Trump's stance is.
And meantime, we cannot do a political panel, Jessica Milan Patterson, without talking about the word affordability. So here is affordability, starring tonight, the Speaker of the House. Watch.
You're going to continue to see this theme going forward, our affordability agenda, as we go forward into the new year, and we bring more proposals forward to reduce not only the cost of health care, but the cost of living overall. We are the party that's going to do that.
Yeah, we are the party of affordability now, Jessica.
I think it's right for Republicans to take on affordability as their brand. Also, Americans want results,
Yep.
not rhetoric. And so Republicans have to show them through those healthcare numbers, through those energy costs, through the grocery costs, that they are the party of affordability and they are bringing that to them. They want to make sure that things are actually being done, and that's what's going to make the difference in the midterms.
Jessica Malone Patterson, Aaron McGuire, thank you both.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.